Just a really quick little side project. My name is Matt Adareth. I build tools for quantitative researchers. This was a little side project that I did to learn more about D3 and to try and do something new. Who here has heard of the artist Girl Talk? Girl Talk? Has anybody seen this? Nobody's seen this yet? OK. All right, so Girl Talk is this DJ. He puts out these albums that are these epic mashups. We're talking like 300 samples over the course of an hour. It's a really unique thing, and I somehow managed to miss it when it first came out, but I recently discovered it, and I got really into it and felt like there's so much going on here. I want to understand it, and I had this visualization in my head that I wanted to see, and decided to be the developer I want to see in the world, and to make this visualization of all of the samples on his most recent album, All Day. So there are about 300 samples here, and the visualization shows every sample, how long they are, what year they came from, and it's all done with D3, and it's live. So it's actually, let me start it from the beginning. It gets very explicit very quickly. So apologies. There was. And we could just jump around, see it. All the data is available. I uploaded this whole project onto GitHub. If anybody wants to play with it, do some alternative visualizations with it. All the work to get the data off of this illegal tracklist wiki is up there. Sorry, I'm just standing right in front of the projector. But I had to write a parser for this. It was lots of fun. So if anybody wants to talk about this afterwards, come find me.
What is your GitHub?
Oh, yeah. So it's my last name. You're going to just have to write it down. Adereth. That's my username on Twitter and on GitHub and everywhere. All right. Thank you.
Tito, I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Bedrock Analytics. And we're actually a block away from here, so our offices are right in front of a Merchants Bar, so if you guys know the area. And what we do is we take retail data and we help visualize that for consumer products companies. Companies like Diageo, Red Bull, they all get a lot of information from all these retailers. And they actually have a hard time, especially the smaller companies, hard time understanding what's selling and what isn't, and what can help them sell another can of Red Bull or whatever that might be. If anything, I'll just talk about it. It's not a...
Well, it's processing.
OK.
You know, let's be careful. There we
Oh,
go.
there you go. Cool. So again, this is kind of like the universe that I work in. These actually aren't our customers, though. Our customers are always a little smaller. So they have to compete with these Goliaths that have, I work for Nestle. I was one of their data analytics people. I was one of 150 people that did that. So they have an army of people, and most of these large companies have data scientists and a lot of people to analyze the information. The problem is these smaller companies get these data dumps. We have one customer that has, they get 120 of these Excel spreadsheets every month, about 22,000 rows, and it's like one sales guy that has to figure out how to put it all together. And the guy's horrible at Excel, so his job is, and he's trying to do it in Excel. So he spends 3 weeks putting together all these spreadsheets into one kind of rinky-dink dashboard, 1 week to analyze, and then the whole nightmare starts all over again. Every month he's like in this hell. We're able to process all that information now in seconds, which is great for them. These are where we're deployed, pilots and customers. The latest one is Chevron. We just landed that, and we have some other big companies that are on pilots. And we just, we've been in stealth for a while here in Oakland. We just launched a few months ago, and it's been really crazy trying to get everything together. But I do want to show you what it is, and it's pretty basic, but again, pie charts, right? Let me fix the resolution. It's a little, so you can read the text. A lot of the times, you were talking, Eric, about like listening to the user, and it's always like for us, we found that it's always a challenge because the users are salespeople at these CPG companies, and they have certain types of visualizations or charts that they have to communicate to other people. So, I mean, we'd like to get really cool, like interesting with certain things, but you almost can't sometimes because they have to report it to someone else. And if they can't explain the visualization, it's kind of a waste. And the concept that we're using is like, let's say they want to understand a story about shares. We've laid out the information in like a storyline. So these are 3 chapters about market shares. So if the user clicks on each chapter below, they'll see a visualization that explains something about shares. The next chapter will dive a little deeper. So now they're seeing weekly trends, market shares, because this might be useful for them. And then finally, if they wanted to compare, let's say, sales across multiple markets for multiple products, they can see where their competitors are generating their sales from, which for them, that's really useful, especially if it's, that person had to look through 120 reports to try to get to this. Now it's much easier. And then there's some like really cool stuff that we can do, which I think, we'd like to eventually use D3. And I think I lost internet connection. Yeah, so, I mean, ideally, it'd be a little more dynamic. But right now, it's kind of static. There's some interactivity to it, but there's a lot more that we could do with it eventually. So that's, for some reason, it's not connecting, so I'll go back to this. And I'll just combine my next portion, which is we're hiring developers, front-end, back-end, and salespeople. So my email is will@Bedrock Analytics. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Go to our website, bedrockanalytics.com. Thanks, guys.
There aren't great acoustics here, so let me move that cord out of the way. This is lightning. So what we have here is a data visualization of activity of some of our customers. I took a small snippet of them and I removed all the identifying information, so it's just a bunch of bands. In my mind, I would actually like to do this with our set of users, which is on the other side of our company. There are hundreds of thousands, a million users there, and in my mind, these lines are going to be like really, really narrow, and they're just going to be flowing all the way down, and it was going to be lovely. But I'm going to hold off on that, and these are some of the company things. What this shows is about 3 months of activity of a company going from here to here, a small subset of our companies. And I love it. I love this idea that I can look at a whole bunch of companies all at once in one glance and see how a bunch of them are doing and how much they're enjoying our product. So it takes a little bit of description to see what's actually going on here and a little bit of blowing up. Green means go. So green means that they're increasing activity, red means they're decreasing activity, and white means that they're stabilizing with activity. So, and then lastly, gray just means they're not doing anything at all. So these people have probably churned, right? And this one, I could probably work with the saturations a little bit, but this is actually a really good one, right? These people are steady, they're increasing or decreasing, increasing, decreasing. They're doing fine, they're enjoying our product and going along, humming along. This guy, they popped up, really enjoyed it for a second, then they just stayed really stagnant, and then they just dropped off, and that's it. So that's how it works. I did this using, I can't remember what they're called right now. Gradients. So SVG gradients, and sorry, let me just show you the D3. That's more fun for y'all, right? So here's some of the D3 data coding that I used. And so that's all D3 there. I just inserted into the body, which is right here. And so the idea is that every single one of these guys is its own line, and each line has its own gradient that goes across it, and each gradient has a series of stops that tells the different saturations and color for the gradient to be. And then I'll just close with saying that I got to use a little bit of math. I have a PhD in mathematics, and I'm a data scientist at HackerRank right now, and we don't get to use very advanced mathematics when we get into industry, so I was excited that I got to use a function. This is the very complicated function that we got here in order to get the greens and reds, and it goes straight right here. So this is, you're decreasing in percentage, so they're decreasing usage. So if you decrease usage by half, you increase the saturation by 50%, so that's a very linear one. And the other one is a little harder, right? So if you increase by 500%, you can't just increase saturation to 500 or 5, it doesn't make any sense. So it has to be something approaching 1. So you get an asymptote, and everybody remembers asymptotes from high school, right? So we have an asymptote at 1. Anyways, thanks, I'm Brandon at HackerRank.